All right, in this unit, we turn our attention to postmodernism. Postmodernism is a sprawling intellectual and cultural movement of the second part of the 20th century. Its common themes are that the modern world has ended, or at least it is time for us to recognize that the modern world has reached its end limits, its nadir, and that it's time for us to move on intellectually and culturally. Now, postmodernism is a critical movement, and we will take its point of departure by criticizing, rather, the fundamental institutions of the modern world. And it will take as its initial data the pathologies of the current modern world. So if we survey the modern world from the postmodern perspective, all of the continued problems and crises, the ongoing existence of poverty in the modern world, the ongoing racial and ethnic conflicts domestically and around the world, the international crises and conflict that have been characteristic of the latter part of the modern world, the increasing perhaps environmental degradation. From the postmodern perspective, all of these symptoms are part and parcels and manifestations of modernism's underlying instability, its underlying incoherence, its inability to grapple with the true nature of the human condition, if there is such a thing. And so what we need to do is realize that the revolutionary modern world, or the last couple of centuries, has run its final course, and that all of these crises and pathologies that we see around us are indications of that. And it is so time for us to realize that the modern world has run its course and prepare ourselves for a post-modern world. Now, emphasizing the post prefix here, that we're interested in going beyond the postmodern world or transcending the modern world. Postmodernism is then situating itself in part historically as after the modern world, but it's also situating itself intellectually by rejecting or wanting to go beyond the institutionalizing intellectual principles that animated and gave life to the modern world. So let's start by asking first what the modern world is. And while postmodernism is a sprawling movement intellectually, having movements, sub-movements rather, in philosophy and literature, in the world of arts and architecture, offshoots in the law and history and so forth. And that sprawling movement, it can be hard to wrap one's mind around it intellectually speaking. Nonetheless, the modern world has been with us for several centuries, so we should be able to first figure out what the modern world has been all about, what its core defining features are, and then we can see what the postmoderns are reacting against.